Thank you to Kingpin Clothing for sponsoring the podcast. Check the guys out on Instagram and their website. Thank you also to Chill Gas Plumbing and Heating. Check the guys out at www.chillgas.co.uk. Many thanks.
Hey Neil, how's it going?
Not too bad, man. Just had a wee pop-up come up there and I was like, oh, there you go. Yeah, I'm
all
good.
And we're live now.
We're live.
Yes, mate.
Pressure.
We're actually talking about that off the camera, we're the no pressure of it, and now the recordings at the top.
The minute you see that wee red dot, it's just panic stations, yeah.
Yeah. But no, I'm good as well. Thank you. And again, as I said to you off camera, I appreciate you coming on. As I said, I've been following your page for a good few months now, as my missus introduced me to it. And yeah, I'm very happy to have you on, mate. So thanks for coming on.
Good to be on, looking forward to it. Bit of crack, you know.
Exactly. So what I'll do for anyone that doesn't know you, if you want to introduce yourself for me and your background, please.
Sure. So I'm Neil McT. I'm 42 next week. Unreal. Dad of 2 kids, married. How long am I married? 7, 8 years maybe married. And
you know the T and the day, don't you?
I don't know.
Acting coolier for the dads.
And I'm from Belfast originally, and then I've moved to Bangor. We're in Bangor now. What are we in Bangor? 7 years maybe. And my background sort of fitness. So I started off doing the fitness thing. Still do the fitness thing. Hence, this is my little bit of a studio here. I have a couple of garages at the house and converted one of them into a gym. Yeah, so over the last sort of 20 odd years, I've been a coach, and I've gradually had it where I've become a professional coach, and that's my main sort of thing. And then the amateur dad was the sort of bit of an outlet, just to have something else that I generally just like creating content. I love playing with video and techie stuff and cameras and all the rest of it. And having a dad blog then was nice, just as a bit of an outlet with a wee bit, like we were saying off camera there, a wee bit less pressure, you know. So,
yeah. And we're talking funny about before we get into things, we were talking about the dad page and the amateur dad page, and you were saying it literally was just an outlet, and then you done a post one day and you're going, what's happened here? As you said, all the comments, shares and likes and things. So again, you've got a background obviously in sharing content, so you have to teach me some trigger words and things here for online.
Yeah, I just like where I started with content was I became a fitness instructor in the 90s. So I was training in the mid 90s, became a fitness instructor. And then I moved into personal training in about 2003, maybe. But around 2001, 2002, you had things like Blogger and WordPress, and you did the blogging thing. And blogging back then was like the YouTube of now, you know. And I remember getting into just a wee bit of writing. And I was doing it because it was sort of like you see James Smith and stuff now doing the videos and that sort of approach. I was sort of doing a similar thing 20 years ago, but writing and just having a slag at the fitness industry and look at this and sort of doing a lot of that early doors sort of stuff and making mistakes and learning how to write. And then when a couple of years later, I did a competition with Men's Health, and I ended up over in England, and I did a bit of photo shooting type sort of beauty pageant sort of stuff with them, you know. And I ended up, they knew I wrote at this stage, so they said, listen, do you want to become the online fitness editor for the magazine? I was like, sweet. So there's me as a kid in my 20s, sort of ended up working for the magazine, and I wrote a bit of a nutrition guide, sort of sold a few thousand copies, and constantly making mistakes and constantly evolving and polishing it. But I got to the stage I was writing articles on my phone for like 80,000, 100,000 people, and I was literally just bobbing them out. And
brilliant.
Then I got to the stage where, you know, you really had to be clued in terms of, because when the minute you were answering questions on a forum like Men's Health, or you're producing content for them, you had to back everything up. And that, you know, that's what sort of the pressure came with it then, where it was any tiny mistake people latch onto it. It is like that one where, you know, you could tell someone 9 things that are right and remember that one wee mistake. And again, with fitness, it's constantly evolving. You always have to be on top of your game. So by the time, so a couple of years later, then I was writing for Men's Fitness magazine. I did an article for Men's Fitness. It ended up being like a 12-pager. And at the time, I owned the gym, and Jamie Dornan was training on it for 50 Shades of Grey, and it was all class. But there was a lot of that.
That's brilliant.
They did. Yeah. He went obviously viral with a photo he did in the gym and stuff. So by the time I started the dad blog, obviously I wasn't a dad in those early years. I was just doing the fitness thing. and there was a bit of pressure, and I really got fed up with it and bored with it, because when I'm coaching on a one-to-one or I'm teaching someone, I can look at that one person and decide, you need this, you need that, do this, don't do that. And you're constantly jumping between the physiology and the psychology of, well, what do they need, what do they enjoy, how do they move, what type of training do they like. But with writing articles for a big audience, yeah, there's always going to be people argue with you. And I found I was getting into arguing with strangers on the internet quite a lot. And it's a bit of a melt. So then when my eldest was born, I thought I like the idea of starting something where I can start it and be consistent, where I don't stop it, where I start something and I just, rather than starting it and come out guns blazing, I want to start something that's easy to do. And it's like anything you want to start, whether it's a podcast or YouTube channel or whatever it is, trying to make it easy for yourself. It's even like what I'm telling people about losing a bit of weight or whatever. Don't come out of the blocks and try and do a water fast or something crazy. Just make the small tweaks. So with the dad blog, and I started just throwing up a couple of posts on my normal Facebook, and they got a bit of traction. And then there was this sort of running joke in jiu-jitsu that I was Team Delph, and that's where the name came from. And I ended up writing this sort of fitness type stuff. And then, yeah, it's crazy where a couple of blokes or a couple of guys that said to me about it, and it gradually just got more and more momentum. And then, yeah, one or two posts just went absolutely off the chart, which was mad. Like, just class was good, just to like, and it'd be mad. You maybe see this yourself, but you get messages and people saying, you know what, I'm lying in bed here and I'm struggling. I'm just getting over surgery and getting over this, or my kids are no longer with me and they've moved abroad. And I love checking out your page. It makes me laugh, and so it's nice. You get a lot of that sort of feedback. So, and even for me, it's a bit of you look back and got pictures on it, and your memories, Facebook memories pops up, and you go, oh, I remember that wee holiday we were on, or it's quite nice even as a documentation sort of idea, So that's 20 years.
And what I found, as a dad as well, like we don't really have much like this. We don't have much like your page. There's a few dads. There's a lad baby in there. I see him. He's quite popular.
I remember him when he was nothing and he just took off. He
5 million odd followers. He's got or something. Scene, and it put
number one and all. I think he does all the singing and everything.
It is like, and it's just, that's the beauty of it. But again, this is going to sound funny, but I was with my missus. We were in Brighton there 2 weeks ago, and I've never watched Loose Women. And I was literally, it was on the TV that morning.
Haven't lived.
That's what Sticky said to me. You haven't watched Loose Women? I was like, no. But I watched it and I was like, is this all they do is just literally have a chat and about life and all sorts of, there's no men's programs like that. We have nothing like this, and I had a guy from enough mailed me yesterday and he says something along the lines of, obviously he was bantering me saying, you're famous down in these neck of the woods. I was like, what are you on about? He goes, I had a lad there just come in and I don't know how I got on to you, but he says he watched your podcast, complete stranger, and that might sound mad, but I went, what that guy? I ended up going looking at the fella on Facebook. He was friends with him, and again, a guy maybe in his 50s watching me talk about being a dad. And I thought, again, as you said, that's only small, minute compared to what you've achieved. But for me, it's a small achievement that people are starting to recognize it. Maybe
Yeah, it's nice. Nice to get a wee bit of a sort of, again, a bit of recognition for it. A few likes, a few subs.
Yeah. But again, your page, as I said, I came across it, and just some of the content on it's fantastic. And you were talking about that one in Portugal. That post you put up in Portugal, what was that about? I'm sure you remember it rightly.
So it's funny, a lot of the posts I've been doing were obviously dad jokey type stuff. And I when the eldest was really young, she obviously couldn't speak. So I was having conversations with her, but I was making up both sides of the chat and sort of a bit of dad jokes with her. And I was showing it to the wife, and she's like, I was like, I need to show some of my jokes. I'm hilarious. People need to know this,
The wife don't appreciate it, mate. Don't appreciate it.
People don't appreciate it. And then I was gradually and then the Portugal one was sort of, we'd been away on holiday, and it was just, I love that idea of just observational humor. I find it really funny. Find sarcasm really funny and wit. And my dad was actually he was a joiner and a foreman, and one of the funniest guys I've ever known. And it was funny. My mum taught French, German, and English, so she was very good from that sort of set. So I think that's where I got that bit of a mix, where I could write a wee bit, but also a bit of crack. But the Portugal post I did as a bit of a point form. And each point was different things, like the baguettes looked like they'd been kicked here from France and all that sort of stuff, and it was just a couple of things. But people were tagging their mates saying, oh, I remember that time we were in Portugal, or we were in Spain, or, Johnny, whatever, look at number 3, that's you, or this is us. And there was a relatable thing with it. And I think that's a big thing with producing content. You know, it's producing stuff that you want to produce. It's organic, and then people relate to it, where they're watching it or they're reading it, and they go, "Oh, that reminds me of us." So they tag their mates or whatever. It's like this whole thing with kids at the minute. They want to be YouTubers and podcasters or whatever. It's like, but you need to produce content and story tell and have a reason for people to sort of tune into it. You know, it's
listen to that. I suppose, you know, myself, you know, I post the videos every 2 weeks. I'm quite again, I could be wrong here, but in my mind, I'm thinking if it was weekly, people will lose it and it just might lose interest. So 2 weeks, I'm hoping keeps it a bit fresh, you know. But in terms of content, hearing you say it, I don't post enough content, if I'm honest. You know, I'll post 1 or 2 things a week. It'll be stories as well. So yeah, I'm writing that down. Post more content.
It's a big one for, like, I did a course on YouTube, and funny enough, how to YouTube, because I just anything I go to do, it's because I started getting into YouTube and Instagram and stuff, and I always sort of throw myself straight at it. Like, even my website and everything, I built my website, you know, because I just like, I want to learn how to do this, not go and teach myself how to do stuff.
Brilliant.
But it likes the YouTube and stuff. Yeah, you see a lot of guys on Instagram, you know, to produce content really regular, but yeah, there's a sweet spot in terms of, it still has to be good content. You know, you don't want to just be pumping out stuff. Like my Instagram, I've started up on my Instagram, and again, it's purely because I'm trying to learn photography and videography, Lightroom, Photoshop, Final Cut Pro, which is a lot of the sort of stuff. So that's a personal thing for me. So even if people unfollow or follow or like or don't like or argue, I don't care. I'm trying to get better. So I'm using it as an outlet for me to get better. And then over time, it might grow, and you have an audience of guys who sort of go, actually really like your stuff. So so a lot of it is, you know, I do it for me. It's like you getting guys you maybe want to chat to, and then it grows from there. It's organic, but yeah, generally, it's the thing as well with posting stuff and content. It's like even the Instagram, like Instagram used to be a photo sharing platform.
That's right.
TikTok pretty much kicked its shit in. So then it all became about reels and stories and videos. Whereas I'm using my Instagram at the minute for all photos. And I really like that side of it. And sort of that idea of when they zig, we zag type stuff, you know, and just produce what you want to produce, and then
brilliant. Because with the businesses, you know, I do post basically every day my business, and I know that. I know I watch the likes of Gary Vee and stuff like that, and he's all content's king, you know. So I actually like thinking out loud, and well, why haven't I done that with the Dad podcast? You know, it's doing really well. I'm let's say it's my 6th episode here, but again, that is interesting. You know, I should maybe up the content side of things on it, you know. But again, we kind of have touched on the inspiration behind your page. So the wee one was born then, and you decided just stick a few blogs up and people start relating to it. I'm sure that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was the first post I put up. I remember it because she was in a pram, and we were up in Belfast, and there was a guy walking in front of me who literally looked like he had his wife's trousers on. There were these skin tight jegging things, and I made a bit of a banter post, and which I don't even know if you can just slag people off now, you know, but it was a bit of a banter post. And yeah, a lot of people coming on and tagging their mates and slagging off, and it was a bit of crack. And I thought, I just loved it. It was just good banter. And actually, a lot of it's like when you go on Lad Bible. So I do this. I put up posts, and I read all the comments and stuff on them, and I try to reply if anyone wants to ask me anything. Or but it's like when Lad Bible or whatever produce an article, I never read it. I go straight into the comments and I read it just, and some of the stuff guys come out with. So for me, it was like it was as much to keep myself amused, and I found myself quite funny. I would be sitting there, and Jen comes in and goes, "What are you laughing at?" I'm like, I just told myself a joke I hadn't heard before. It's like, I didn't even know that. But I find other people just as funny. And it's like when you're in, again, I go to like jiu-jitsu quite regular, and it's a team of boys, and you know, it's constant crack. And as you say, it's guys don't have that anymore in the same sort of way. And especially as the last couple of years, you know, guys are working from home and whatever. And I have a couple of clients like that who would be in the bubble of like their 9 to 5, and then they maybe train in a home gym, and then they watch Netflix with a wife and stuff. And so everyone's in their own wee bubble. But by producing content, you get to connect with other people. And it's even like like I was posting in a photography group earlier, and you just end up connecting with different guys. You go, oh, he's quite interesting. And so I find people very interesting. And again, it's a nice way of networking, and you never know what happens. You know, like you send me a message, it's just like, yeah, sure, let's jump on and have a chat and
exactly.
See what happens.
And that is the good side of the internet. You know, see a lot of stuff. I actually found myself last year getting involved in like a lot of arguments for no reason. You know, you see, and it just becomes like a habit then. And then one day I clicked out, I'm like, what am I doing arguing with random strangers online? And it's about stuff you're passionate about. So they're clickbaiting you and you're biting. And Try to see from I just step back from it all. And I'm actually a big football fan. Are you into football yourself?
I used to play a wee bit of football badly. So I would do all the keep ups and stuff still. I still like funny yesterday I was out in the garden to keep ups and stuff. And I used to play a bit of football. And then once I stopped playing, I had no level, like Saturday, Sunday league, arsing about. But once I stopped playing, I could, like, I used to watch like Portsmouth or whatever would have been on TV, and I watched it. See, now if it was, the only thing I really watch is like Messi highlights or Ronaldo's top 10 passes or whatever. You know, those sort of YouTube clips. My attention span for it's just not as much as it used to be, you know.
Yeah, where I'm massive in the Liverpool, like massive, you know, and that kind of came down from being brainwashed from my father. So talking about that, my little lad now is 2.5. And I've been hammering him with songs flat out, trying to get him to literally click onto it. No interest. Well, I'm just looking now. I bought him a wee football net when he was, if it wasn't that Christmas before. And he's now literally only starting to play with it. And I mean, like, he's shooting into it and stuff. So the brainwashing is starting to work, is what I'm saying. You know, where the Liverpool's concerned, I was away at the match on Monday there, and I got a video from my partner, and it was my wee lad singing the Virgil van Dijk song. A wee bit muddled, but he knows the majority of the words. And I'm going, it's just starting to work here, you know. But where the football's concerned, you know, as I say, I'm again Liverpool fan. I have a load of United fans, and for years, obviously Liverpool weren't good, you know. I've won the league in 30 years, so the Mancs were loving life and hammering us. But from that's changed then. So when we won the league, I'm not joking you, everyone that gave me stick for 20 years got it, like, and I mean got it, man. I sat here where I'm sitting now with a beer, just like you said, laughing to myself, and they're going, "What are you doing?" I was like, 20 years you've hammered me here.
Of abuse.
Give it to them. This is how it feels to unfollow. They unfollow me. I was like, I couldn't take one day to shit from me. But anyway, I found that sort of towards Christmas and all, I went, don't need to do this no more. Took a step back. And let's see, the first time I posted about the Manchester was Monday night because it was over at it. And it was hilarious, like what hammered them, you know. But again, that the internet, the good side of it is you see your stuff. And I think it's brilliant, you know, you're relating to it. There's no harm in it. It's fun. And then you obviously have the bad side, the clickbaits and stuff. And it's just sort of knowing what to stay away from, as you said, you know, you're getting an argument with some people.
All the time, like you see it, like every day I'll read a post about you know, comparison is a thief of joy, and social media is this, and it's toxic that, and don't. But it's the eyes you look at it through. So I look at it through as a positive thing. And if I see negative, and I was the worst for it. I say when I worked for one of the magazines, I did a lot of the forum stuff, and I was constantly caught in these debates, and it was always armchair experts, and it's context is king and everything, especially with fitness sort of things where it depends on the client. It's something that doesn't maybe match the research, but if it works for them, it works for them, and it's a constantly evolving thing. But yeah, it's easy to get caught up in just random arguments, and you're not benefit. No one wins there. You know, it's just one of those things where it's easier to just walk away from it. And you can see where people are trying to poke you or annoy you. It's like the Mike Tyson on the flight type thing there recently. You know, people just want to poke the bear. You know. And you don't annoy a guy who bites our ears off and punches people in the face. You know, it's
the baddest man on the planet. Like, and I know he's 50 on now, but he put, was it only a few months back, he put that post up about the internet's made people comfy with talking shit and not getting
around or something. Like, yeah.
And what happens? Literally, your man, like the video, your man at the end of it's like, oh, you only wanted an autograph. I was like, that's not what I got from that video. Like, he was poking Mike Tyson, and again, not that you should strike anyone, but at the same time, he got what he had coming to him. Like.
And it's one of the things actually I found really good now about writing content in my 40s.
Yeah,
is the wokeness of the world, or whatever you say. Like, you know, Only Fools and Horses episode now would be getting taken down off Netflix for how it's perceived and whatever. So it's like I made a lot of mistakes back in the day writing early content. Like I remember someone asking about the sauna suits for training on like a magazine forum I was part of. And I was like, oh, you're just dehydrating yourself, sweat. They don't work. Turned out the company that sold them advertised with the magazine that I was working for, and it ended up costing them 20 grand advertising or whatever. And I was and you're like, oh, I didn't realize, you know. So every time when you're posting stuff in the back of my head, I'm always conscious of when this is online or whatever, you know, you have conviction with what you believe in, but also be careful of just throwing out stuff to be a bit of a tit. And again, that's what's nice about the type of stuff I do, where it's just a bit of banter, and you can sometimes you might be on the edge, but you're never sort of really pushing it, you know.
Yeah. I've only had from I started this, again, I say it's only 6 episode deep, so I launched at the start of the year in terms of we're going to start doing it. And I think the first episode was February. Don't hold me to that now. But I've had one complaint so far that, you know, the way the podcast was coming across. And I took the feedback and I had to take it on the chin and basically say, right, I need to adjust it so people doesn't think it is. A guy had sort of said to me, thought it was like a middle class podcast, right? So I had said to him, listen, I told him my background, where I'm from and stuff. And I was like, I apologize if it came across like that, but that's not how I'm looking at it. So again, I am conscious now that people are tuning in and kind of looking at it and going, and I hope they don't think that, because it's not that at all. It's just a normal dad's
upper
podcast.
Class. Totally.
It's upper class. All the input here, them paintings are thousands of pounds. We're probably getting robbed here.
Yeah.
I'm only joking. They're not.
And this is the other thing. Like I love that saying. If you're everyone's cup of tea, you're a mug. So there is that thing where if you're trying to produce content for everyone, it's even like my client base as a coach. You know, I used to train everyone, and now I sort of dial it into the guys that I want to sort of train. I have a couple of girls, but it's mostly dudes. They're mostly my age. They want to become like free range human Swiss Army knives, where we're doing a bit of handstands, a bit of strength work, a bit of jiu-jitsu or whatever. So you're not going to please everyone. It's just one of those things. But yeah, I think it's even like when guys mention stuff on my dad blog or messages or whatever, you do take it on board and sort of go, well, okay, I'll know that for the future. Or, you know, your video is too long or too short, or is this too, or whatever it is. Like, it's like me starting out in the YouTube thing. Like I started doing YouTube, and you're conscious of, because YouTube's wild for that. People will just hit a dislike button. Like if you do a YouTube video and like, here's how to get free money, free sex, and retire tomorrow, people will dislike it. You know, it's just the way YouTube is, or they'll watch it for 30 seconds. So you just have to take it on the chin. And even like some of the top channels I watch or whatever, there's like 10,000 likes, but there's maybe 3,000 dislikes. And you're like, this guy's just told, they give a tutorial on how to do some great photography stuff or whatever it is. And people, it's just the way people are. I was actually on a TripAdvisor thing the other day. It wasn't a TripAdvisor, it was one of these apps, because I go out in the mountain bike, or I toot about, and I'm always sort of arsing about. My life's like a tampon advert. I'm always sort of out my rollerblades or something, you know. But there was a guy who gave 1 star on a park or whatever close to me, and I thought, right, and I clicked on his name. He'd 1 starred everything. Like it didn't matter if it was Crawfordsburn or he'd been out in Lisburn or up a Cave Hill. 1 star. I was like, well, why are you going to change that? Cave Hill taller, you know what I mean? It's like, more cave. So I always take it with a pinch of salt. Like I work off the assumption that most people are knobs. Prove me otherwise, you know. And,
that's great. That's great to know. Actually, do you ever do that yourself? Ever like 1 star or anything?
No, I go out of my way. Like I've done it for a couple of guys where like restaurants and stuff close to me, and it's went viral for them a couple of times. Where even like an electrician did some stuff for me, and I'll purposely look for their Facebook page. I'll give them a 5-star review, and I'll do them a post on like, guy window tinted my car, and they go and share it, and it gets a lot of viral likes for them. And I did a bit of landscape and stuff. So I go out of my way to do good comments, and I think there's not enough. Not everyone's sort of playing on the negative. And again, I used to be that person. You know, I would have been very quick to that's cheating, whatever, and judge it. But I'm very conscious of I'm trying to be a lot more positive, and it just makes you a happier person. You know what I mean? It's if you become more negative, it just sort of spirals. You know,
it does. And the reason I said that, you know, I was away there, as I said, to Liverpool. I stayed, and it was actually cheaper, believe it or not, to go on the boat the Monday and back the Wednesday, stay 2 nights, than it was to fly Tuesday morning home Wednesday. A lot cheaper. So for me, I thought the missus, I'm actually going to admit this now, 2-day break, fantastic. She doesn't know that's why I went, you know. But anyway, I had a bit of work to do on the boat. I thought it was going to take me 7 hours. It took 4 hours, mate, and I had nothing downloaded. So you're literally 4 hours on that boat, and it was hell on earth. So, but again, when I arrived to the apartment, they took a £200 security deposit. Obviously not messing online, but again, I went. The floors were a bit sticky. It had a wee bit of a funny smell. I think it was like weed or something, right? But again, the place was lovely. I'm going to say that. So again, they wrote to me and said, "Will you leave as a review? Give them 5-star and everything." Bye. Because again, I had a great experience there. Again, could have maybe the floors were a bit sticky. That's fine, but I would never went on and said the floors were sticky, because you know yourself, people will go through that and go, nah. Because overall, great experience. So I'll just give it a 5-star on what I had on. Floor was sticky. I don't know what happened to that floor. I suppose I can't say this, but I was sitting on this couch. I put the TV on. Some geezer left his Spotify in, so again, there should be knighting him. That was an experience, you know. So I was able to listen to his tunes. But I went to search on the internet for YouTube, and there was Pornhub about 4 down. So I'm sitting looking at this TV going, and I'm sitting on the sofa, and I'm thinking, some guy's probably been sitting here having a good time, and I'm sitting on the same sofa as him. You know?
Yeah.
So that's a downside of the internet TV in an apartment, you know. It's like, I actually went like, I went, where was he sitting? Like, is that why the floor's sticky too? But lovely apartment.
It's experiences, yeah. But it's funny. It's like the what's that saying? Don't take criticism from people you wouldn't take advice from. That's always a nice saying. Just come into my head there from that. And that's something I take on board. Like, I would be very conscious if I'm producing content. My mates say stuff, or the brothers, my older brother, like when I wrote this thing years ago, he was brilliant just to go through it and say, well, why are you saying that? And what's the point in that? Can you back that up? And I was like, oh, fuck, right, okay. And
that's brilliant.
It just sort of came into my head. Just when you get a lot of like the negativity type stuff, it's like, would I take advice from this person? It's like, or have they been in the position that I'm in, you know?
I do think a lot of people do like to jump on the negative. I've seen a restaurant locally there got a bad review there, you know, and within seconds it was shared loads of times. People I knew and hammering them, you know, where I kind of ones where I go, right, it was 5-star 6 weeks ago, whatever it was. What's happened in that space of time? Have that structural issues, or you know, but people were quick to jump on and hammer them. And it's a business. I'm a business owner myself, and that's like my worst fears, to be ripped online. And again, I could literally come on today. I could go on to some of my page today and say that you've said things you haven't, and never release this video. And then people will think you're a scumbag and you're this, that, and the other, and it's completely fake. I've seen it, you know, and I hate that. You know, I just think it's again. I was always taught, if you have nothing nice to say nothing at all. You know, unless it's deserved. You know, so. But I see it quite regular, negativity online. Again, I guess I'm talking about the Manx. That's a bit of harmless banter, but and they deserve it. 20 years. You can't tell I'm scarred by that, can you? I'm a stepfather too. God rest his soul, like Man United fan. And he used to always invite me down on the Sundays we played them to watch the match. Why I went down, I never know, because they would always beat us and they'd be giving me lectures about why we're shit basically, and I'd be sitting there fucking furious, you know. I'm not taking the chin, but we're good now.
Nice.
But no, talking about the fitness side of things, what got you into that? And again, you said it was at the 90s?
Mid-90s. So it's funny because, like, in personal training terms, like now I'm like I'm only 41, 42 here, but you know, it's funny. I started personal training 20 years ago, and it's funny now most personal trainers are probably 20. You know, so it's crazy. So
that's right.
Yeah, I was a skinny kid in school, and my older brother sort of started lifting a wee bit of weights, and we started off more in a circuits class, and then I started skipping school to go to the gym. Well, skipping school because like that class later is a load of balls. I'll go home and get food because I'm doing squats tonight, and you know that was me at sort of 15, 16. And I remember so we had a lunch break, and then careers class was after lunch. And I thought, careers, load of shite. I'm going home and get food, and I'm going to do deadlifts that night. And the careers teacher came into one of my other classes, and he was telling everyone about filling in their UCAS forms for university and everything. And he took one look at me and goes, who the fuck are you? And then I went to him. He says, we need to have a meeting. You need to sort your UCAS for university and everything. And I was like, so I met him, and then I was like, I'm thinking about doing this fitness instructor course. And he was like, UCAS forms. It was all about university. I was like, I don't know if that's what I want to do. And this is that old school. Say my mom was a joiner, or my dad was a joiner and a foreman, and my mom had been a teacher and was taught French, German, English. So it was literally, you're going to go university route or you're going to go trades type route. And again, working in the fitness industry, like at that stage, it just didn't exist because there was no Fitness First, David Lloyd's, none of that sort of DWs. You literally had a couple of leisure center type things and the odd spit and sawdust type gym. So that's what I was training in back in the day. And so you were making your mistakes. So I was a skinny kid, and we went to the gym regular, and you didn't even have Google back then in the same way. You know, we would have went like, the older brother might have got some mad German routine or some Russian routine and said, let's try this for a couple of weeks and whatever. And we would have put on a wee pound or two of muscle and, you know, got a wee bit stronger. And we get slagged off for being the accountants because we would have documented everything and taken notes and writing everything down. And
is that before that was kind of a thing, was it?
This is going back. This is 1997, maybe
Yeah.
1998, and we were training really regular and doing training diaries and making mistakes. And I remember walking from North Belfast into town to train because the bus was like 60p. I'm like, can't afford that. And then going to we couldn't afford protein shakes. You only had, it was like workout world back in the day, and protein shakes all tasted like cement back then. It was just like, it was all the mask gainers. And I remember getting like a chocolate Yazoo post-workout was your treat. So after you train, you had a chocolate Yazoo, and then you walked home. And then the brother would say, "Do you want to go back to the gym tonight?" It's like, and then you'd walk back down. And he was sort of shore road, so I had met him, and then we walked into town. And
that's a hike.
That was the early days of training, and it's funny because I say a lot of people get into personal training now, get into it because they're like, I'm working in a call center, saw a thing online, I'm going to be a PT and bump their PT in a week. But back then, we were of that sort of nice generation where you were training yourself, you made your mistakes. So by the time I became a fitness instructor, I think I've been training sort of 4 years anyway. And then by the time I became a PT, I was probably training 7 or 8 years, which is unheard of. Now, a lot of guys I say are maybe training 6 months and then they become PT.
Yeah. A lot of guys do a photo shoot now, don't they? I've noticed.
You do guys, this is the thing, guys will go to a coach and they'll maybe do a 12-weeky type thing. They'll maybe do a photo shoot, and then they will be then saying, "Oh, guys, I'll get you ready for a competition. I'll get you ready for this, that, and the other." But it's like jiu-jitsu. They're essentially brand new white belts trying to teach MMA, and coaching is problem solving, and you solve problems by bringing your experience. And so guys generally come to me, and it's because they have less time. So say they're dads or whatever. So give an example. When I trained as a kid, I was training maybe once, twice a day, every day. You just loved it. You were blessed by it. You lived in your mum's, you were eating all her food, you no real job. You were maybe doing a wee bit of studying. You maybe did the odd wee job just to, like, I remember like my first paycheck blowing it all on creatine and protein powder, because it was like, that's what you did. So back in the early days of training, like when I was personal training and fitness instructor, I trained every day, once, twice a day, and all the rest of it. And the guys that I have coming to me now have maybe been to a personal trainer like that, where they're like, "Oh, the trainer told me to train twice a day every day, but I'm a dad and I'm busy and I can't do that." And I'm like, "Well,
that's tight. See, if you haven't done anything, that's hard work, like."
Yeah. So what I do now, so when guys are coming to me, I'm like, "Well, you've only got 2 hours a week to train, so you can't do an advanced bodybuilding split routine. It just doesn't work for you. This is so generally with my experience now, I am sort of coaching. Is it efficient? Is it effective? And that's what you're trying to work out. So coaching is just problem solving. So when I was personal training in 2003, I started, and then I did that until about 2010 maybe, and I've been in a couple of different gyms, and then 2011, 2012, I was getting into more functional training, but doing a bit of handstands and a bit of the L sits and the muscle ups and stuff. And then CrossFit started arriving here. It wasn't really heard of back then before that. And I ended up moving from a global gym into a CrossFit gym and doing a wee bit of the CrossFit type stuff. And I had a studio upstairs in CrossFit where I taught a lot of like the ring work and the handstands, a bit of personal training, took the odd CrossFit type class, but I liked a lot of it and I took a lot from it, but I didn't like all of it. And then we had the opportunity to open a gym in Titanic Quarter, and be part of a skate park. And so I, with another couple of guys, there was 5 of us, joined forces. And we all had different backgrounds as coaching. Like one or two of them played rugby, an MMA guy, had a girl who'd done physique stuff. And it was good because we all then started swapping ideas, and it's like, "Oh, show me how you do your kettlebells, and here, I'll show you how to do this, how I do my handstands and calisthenics." And everyone got better. And then when I got this house, we lost the premises. It was a change of use in the building, and I ended up just putting a studio in the house and doing most of my work sort of here. That's been the fitness journey. And it's funny because a lot of guys, that guy actually messaged me the other day saying, "Oh, I might just put a studio at home and do it from that sort of what do you recommend?" And people forget, like, I'm lucky that I've been in it so long. Like I've been in, and I've the website, my social media, so people sort of know about you or they want to book in. And so even though I'm sort of out of the loop in terms of not on a gym floor, I'm still busy and all the rest of it. And so people want to do what I do, but they don't realize that started in 1995, and it's been a long, and there's been a lot of mistakes. Like, I'll joke, I have literally made every mistake under the sun, give out the bro science, done things wrong, got it wrong. And it's only actually when I hit sort of 40, I'm like, I'm starting to get my head around this fitness carry on. And again, I've been since I was 15. So it's a mad process. And I love going on social medias and stuff.
Yeah.
Guys putting up, you know, these coaches are putting up stuff and they're like, personal trainer, blah, blah. And I'm like, you've only been a personal trainer 3 months yourself, you know, slagging off the industry and whatever. I'm like, you know what, experience counts for a lot of stuff. And always be humble with what you're doing, because there's guys slagging off and say other guys not in the same industries, whatever. And like, you're not perfect, you know, your stuff's not, and there's a constantly evolving thing. So now it's like, sort of like we were saying, you just stay in your own lane, try and get better at what you do. The guys who like what you do will follow you, and your tribe or your vibe attracts your tribe sort of idea, you know.
So true. Like, I mean, the guy trained me, was a friend of mine for years, Ram Duffy. I know him as. Do you know him? No, from Lisburn.
I don't know. Maybe.
A friend of mine, but you're showing me that tribe side of things there. One thing he's always been very good at, you know, he does like a bit of a group session. So the crack's mighty, but you're getting hammered. You know, they're literally hammering you. And it's, again, he's very understanding. I'd have a lot of niggles and a lot of injuries. One, I'm only literally getting sorted now because it's got too bad, my ankle, you know. So I wasn't too good doing star jumps and also these sorts of things. And I'd maybe come in on Monday, we we're going to do legs on Monday, and I'd been like a bit of a niggle after the weekend there, and he had tailored like a bit of a session around me, where some PTs, you know, some classes I went to before, if you're telling them you got niggles, stop talking shit, and you're going, all right, I'll do this, you know, I'll do the exercise, and the next thing I know, I'm off my feet for a day or two because I've hurt myself. They don't listen, and I see a lot of that. You know, where one thing I can give him a massive compliment is he listened to me because he knew I wasn't talking shit. You know, I've trained from I was an 8-year-old boy football. I've run thousands of miles. It's just as I've got older, I can't do it as much as I could. You know, and I remember this before when my ankle started playing up really bad. We're doing this run. We're doing pre-season. It was the last pre-season I actually did because of this. I can't do it no more. My body just breaks down. And I looked at this run. We were going to do this long, like 15 to 20 minute sort of exercise. But we'd already done a load of stuff before that. And I just found, someone said to me upstairs, that's going to wreck me here. You know, I just feel like something's going to go. And I saw, but again, pride, the lads are slagging you. Come on, stop messing. You know, you're being lazy and all. I'm like, right, I'll do it. So I did it. And next thing I know, we wanted to play a match and I couldn't run. My legs had literally seized where my ankles were. So I went to Physio and he says, like, you know, you're not 20 no more. You're in your 30s. He goes, like, what'd you do that for? It's a pride. You know, the lads are at me here. And again, bad advice that they should have been listening to me and saying, they got to set you out, you know, the kind of thing. But as I said, honestly, I think that trade's a big thing. And as you said, you get a lot of guys, again, probably like myself, that are flat out. You know, I have a young family. You know, I'm trying to train and do things now that I can't do football twice a week. So I'm in the gym 2 times a week. I train on a Thursday when I'm not injured. I'm playing a Saturday, but it's structuring that round my home life. As I said, I would go in the morning, so it's out of the way and it's done then, you know. But again, you're saying there you get guys that come and they've only 2 or 3 hours a week. Like, what would you say to them on that note?
It's funny, because it's coming back to that. It's like, for a lot of guys, coaching wise, it's that saying, if all you have is a hammer, everything's a nail. So they just tell everyone the same thing or give everyone the same thing. So,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, you know. And again, everything's about having. So a lot of guys have come to me. It's funny, like when I started coaching, it was like, I want to tone up, I want a 6-pack. That was it. And now I have clients come to me and saying, I want to work on my jiu-jitsu, I want to get a handstand, I want to get fucking ring muscle up the P-bar. And I'm like, yeah. And if you go on my YouTube, I have one of my guys, Kevin, there, he's 64 this summer. And it shows him doing ring muscle ups and deadlifting like 190 and stuff. And that's rehabbing from a car crash. So, but a lot of my guys who train, there's Aaron on the video, on one of my videos, lost 7 stone. And he does twice a week. He trains twice a week. How
long would his sessions be a week?
He does 2 hours a week.
2 hours a week. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I would say to guys, I used to look at most people go to the gym and they do the wrong exercise in the wrong order. They haven't got the prerequisites for it to be able to do it. And then they're maybe following the wrong food advice or trying a crazy diet. And I always say to guys, it's like buying a guitar and hitting strings, and you're doing that all the time, 5 days a week. You're not getting better playing a guitar unless you understand what they actually do. So when guys come to me, I'm always thinking about, well, what is it they're actually wanting to do? Because you'll hear guys saying, I'm going to get fit. I'm going to go to CrossFit or whatever, or I'm going to do this bodybuilding thing. I was like, well, what, you know, your method and your behaviors have to match your goals. So if you want to get in great shape for a bodybuilding competition, don't go mountain biking or whatever. You know, it's trying to work out, well, what do you want to do? And I think that's what you really have to determine is, and the guys are often saying, well, I just want to lose a wee bit of fat, get a wee bit stronger, whatever. Okay, well, you need a bit of a calorie deficit. We'll look at the nutrition side of it. Keep it dead simple, no diets, no crazy stuff. And then strength work, just try and do a bit of a full body workout a couple of times a week, and you can have a bit of variety in it. So again, it comes back to training the physiology and the psychology. Physiology being, what can you do? How do you move? What's your ankle mobility like? Can you single leg work? Can you deadlift type stuff? And then it's like the psychology of, do you like every minute on the minute AMRAP stuff? Do you like the strength type of training? Do you want more functional, like we were doing the more of the body weight type stuff? And so when I'm building routines for guys, it's no different to an architect drawing out plans, and then you then do the building work after. So a lot of times when I'm coaching, it's like I do below what people are capable of, and they'll leave going, didn't even get a sweat on there, I'm not even feeling sick or whatever. But it's next time you come in, it's slightly better. Next time you come in, it's slightly better. I remember working in a gym years ago, and a guy came in for like a consultation with me, and we were chatting, and I was asking about, well, what's your family like? A couple of kids, and what's your diet like? And taking all the notes. And there was another trainer opposite me. He had a new guy come in, and it was the same sort of thing. And literally about 3 minutes later, his client was out there doing boxing pads and fucking burpees and all. I was like that's like literally saying to a builder, I'm going to put an extension on the house. And 3 minutes later, he's throwing down bricks. And you're like, well, I haven't even told you what sort of, you know, and it's a really frustrating thing. So the longer I'm in coaching, the longer it's like, well, what do you want? And why do you want it? And how do you want to get there? And so it's like the guys doing the photo shoot type stuff. Like, guys will come to me saying, oh, I'd love to do a photo shoot. And like, well, that's brilliant. That should be a byproduct of us trying to get a wee bit healthier, a bit stronger, feeling better, being a better dad, a human Swiss Army knife. And then if you look good as a byproduct, yeah, let's book a wee photo shoot, as opposed to here's a diet and here's a mad training routine.
Yeah.
And you do the photo shoot. And then after that, you're like, oh, I can't stick to that mad diet or training routine. So I say to my guys, like, you're at sea level, and it's good habits and strength training and working on your movement gets you to base camp. And I generally hang out at base. Like, I wouldn't be in great nick all the time. I wouldn't be competition ready for jiu-jitsu all the time. You know, I wouldn't be at my strongest all the time. But I like the idea of sitting at base camp. But if I want to do a photo shoot or a jits camp, whatever, then you can push it a wee bit more. But a lot of guys who are joining the gym are at sea level. They're being given a peak diet and a peak training routine. It's like being helicoptered onto the top, and they don't know how to stay there, where really it's the habits that are what gets you there. So my stuff, the longer I'm doing this, it's got very unsexy and it's got very basic. I always try and keep it basic, but often for people, even the basics like your squats and deadlifts aren't basic enough, and you have to even break it down even more for guys, because they're coming to you now and they're like, oh, I've been playing football, and I've, like, even myself, I have a couple of injuries from jiu-jitsu because we train a lot, but you know, there's that constant, what can you do, what can't you do? And you know, it's not just a matter of what you want to do, it's like, do you have the prerequisites to do what you want to do, you know?
The thing is, well, see, for me, they kind of admit that I'm struggling a bit with an injury, and then for people to kind of look at you and think, he's talking shit. That's hard, because as I said to you, I've played football from when I was 8. Barely missed a training session for years, literally hammered the streets. I remember Lower Hill School at no lights. I had a coach for when I played for a local team, and he used to have us there for an hour and a half on a Tuesday night. No lights, just grass. And we ran for an hour and a half. Like, I mean, never missed the sessions ever. I remember it snowing, and he was like, whoever can make there, get there. There was 8 of us, I was one of them, you know. But then you get these lads there, they're saying like, oh, look at him, you know, says he can't train twice a week. Like, I'm 34 now. I've literally done all this, what you've done. And it's just, as I say, it's just, if they would listen a bit more, you know, I'm not trying to bonk out and do this. I just physically can't do it. And when I went to the physio, when I was saying the new physio there, the first session with him was, right, do a lunge. And I done a lunge, and he went, Jesus. And I said, what's wrong? He goes, that left ankle, there's nothing. I goes, right, no problem. So he got me up in the bed. I said, like, your ankle is like a brick. He says, there's no movement. So we're literally now, he said, first one, he ironed me out a little bit, where I've went to physios, and they've literally hammered me in the first session. What he's given me is, he says it'll take us 6 weeks to get to a certain point, and then I'll be comfortable for you to go back and do certain things, but it won't be football. So
Yeah.
I'm literally starting from the very bottom, as you said, sea level now. And it's sweet to hear that though. It was good because it wasn't just iron me out and I'll be back in 2 weeks. It's going to be 6 weeks before you even consider running again. And then by that stage, what I'm hoping is obviously if I do it right and I follow his instructions, that I can run with no pain, and then we can start looking at playing a bit of football again. But it was just nice to hear somebody say that there is a problem angle, you know, and here's how we're going to sort it. And that again, that was honesty, and that's why I've given my business, you know.
Yeah, totally. And it's it's funny to hear you talk about 34 and all. I'm like, bastard, I wish I was 34. I snapped the knee ligament off at Christmas and I was in a brace there for a bit. I was choking out one of my mates, so I was underneath him, and I had the gi, and as I twisted for a fancy sort of loop choke, I felt the snap, and it turned out, oh, that's my knee, and I'd done a ligament. I'd done my MCL. So the MCL is the side of your knee, and I was lucky in a lot of ways, because usually if you do your MCL, you do your ACL and your meniscus, and you do a full triage of stuff, and it was just like, and I am very like, don't give me the problem, give me the solution. So my physio would say is great. He says, you know, I thought it was a grade 1 MCL. He thought it was a grade 2. Got an MRI and they went, no, it's a grade 3. You've completely snapped it off. So I was like, okay. And it was just a matter of don't do jits for a couple of months, because I was doing jits 7 days a week at that stage and weights 3 or 4.
Yeah.
You know, I would train a lot, you know, but again, there's days I'll have hard sessions, there's days I'll have sessions. But there was that realization of I'm in my 40s now, you know, it's things happen that never happened to me like when I was younger, and you do start to feel that wee bit of and I was actually training the guy yesterday. He owns a mountain bike company and they design mountain bikes and everything, and we had this chat because he's sort of my age, and he was saying how his balls have dropped, like, you know, just in terms of where he would have done backflips and the, you know, whatever, you know, carry on now. It's like, that's a big curb. You know, you start to really question yourself. It's like I snapped the bicep off years ago doing gymnastics stuff. I snapped it off on the Wednesday, and I went to jits then on Friday night and sparring. The coach was like, I saw you snap your bicep off. I was like, yeah, I'm getting surgery in 2 weeks. I'll just train and be all right. And I ended up just sparring away because I was like, well, it's one of those things. But I actually did a backflip as well. I did a back somersault, right, for a profile picture on Facebook. Thought, do we back somersault here? Because you could do a bit of,
as you do, like.
Did a somersault, got a lovely Facebook photo, and afterwards I was like, I give myself a wee nick there, you know. I was like, and it's funny, my knob went black, right, and literally whatever blood vessel I pinched, and I come home and I said to the wife, I says, fucking did a backflip at jiu-jitsu there, I've done enough. And I put my trousers down, and I says my knobs went black, and she looks at it and goes, well, it's not bigger, I think it just went black.
There's no more blood to it.
You know, but you start to get these things where even when we were in Hawaii, I near died in a cliff jump years ago. Like, I was very close, and we were away in Hawaii, and I went to jump off the thing and just went and turned and walked back down. And see, for me, that was like, you know, I got up there, I was holding my GoPro and all, I was about to jump off this bit of a cliff, and everyone was doing it. And I just went, you know what? I've had a few near-death fucking experiences here. I'm getting too old, and I'm not. And it's funny how your thought, and especially as a dad, you know, all of a sudden you start to think, fuck, like, because even when my knee was bad there and I'm sort of rehabbing my knee stuff, like getting the kids, you know, doing stuff for them, it became hard, and all of a sudden you become like, and that's the thing for the guys that come to me now. It's like years ago, say people wanted to tone up and get leaner, and now they're coming to me saying, I got my blood pressure, I'm a wee bit overweight here, I need to, because this is the thing, guys are our age and their kids are quite young, and they're like, I want to be fit, I want to see my kids walk down the aisle and do all this sort of stuff. So your thought process changes. And my mum and dad died the same year, within like 6 months of each other, and it was the year we got married. So once, when my mum died at Christmas, and then dad died in the summer, and then we got married in September, and then moved house. It was one of those mad sort of 12, 18 months.
Crazy, yeah.
But when your parents go, you're like, you feel you're on the conveyor belt. And I'm next year. Well, the older brother, hopefully. but I'm next, you know. And you just see that drop, and you're like, fuck. And then you become. I'm very conscious now of my health, and you know, I'm not just getting older, but that's why I work. Obviously, like, I work every day, pretty much. Bar, I ended up with a cancellation today that will work well for this. But I only work every day, but I do it to suit myself, and I live life like a tampon advert. I'm very conscious of go out on the mountain bike, take a skateboard out, take the kids out, do some stuff, go up. We have a reservoir behind us, and there'll be wild deer and all that. You go up and there's fucking deer standing there. I saw one yesterday. yeah. And
I'm only joking in case anyone watching that.
I know, get all that PETA on it. But that idea of that my whole thought on life and the whole journey's definitely changed, and you never think it does when you hit that sort of 40 onwards, but yeah, you become very aware of this isn't going to last forever, and I need to enjoy the process. And yeah, the arguing with strangers on the internet, been that, you know, it's like spend time doing the stuff you want to do, whether it's chatting with guys, chatting with strange men online, or whatever you want to do, but
whatever way that is as well.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah, so just my whole philosophy's changed in terms of like, just go to jiu-jitsu, lift some weights, try and be healthy and enjoy life. I know we end up going off on a complete tangent there, but yeah.
No, you're so right, because I'll tell you, you know, I'll jump on that a little bit. My dad died at 45, I was 18. So you don't expect that. And then you went from being 18 young lad to going, there's heart problems in the family here. So I was told at 18, 19, maybe 19, don't play football here for a period of time. We want to run a load of tests. But again, tell a 19-year-old lad that's in love with football. I mean, yeah, no problem. But I was going out playing. I went and played anyway, but I was going out and thinking, I could die today. And that was a real weird, at 19. And that really triggered, we're talking about anxiety and stuff, that really triggered a real bad period of anxiety. I went in, it's actually funny, I was like, I went in my mum's room at 3 in the morning, like, you know, you're a young lad, you bump the weekends, next thing I'd have felt this tingle in my fingers and went, fuck's that? So it had triggered a panic attack. So I'm thinking I'm having a stroke or something, Marty. I go into my mum's room, you have to take me to the hospital here. She's like, what? So I think I'm having a stroke. This happened 2 or 3 times over, it seemed to happen in the summer. And it was all down to my anxiety. So I went into the hospital. And the third time that I'm not even lying, done a blood test and stuff, and came back and says, we're not going to lie to you here. You just need to stop panicking. I said, well, tell me how to do that. So it was like, says to me, the chances, what we're seeing here, your cholesterol and all this is like 0.01% chance of having a heart attack here. You need to try and get that into your head. And I was like, right. But again, in my mid-20s, I kind of went, when I get them in my 30s, I'll start trying to look after myself, diet and things. I'll not party as much and so on. These last 2 weeks have been a write-off, to be fair, because of Liverpool. But anyway, I'm going teetotal for 6 weeks. But my little cousin, again, my uncle passed at 37, but his daughter's son now, at 18, he had dropped in work and had to go in the hospital there recently. So the whole cycle of that's come up again. You know, the man's like, I got taxed. When did your dad die? Date of birth. All this stuff has now come up again. And it's like, right, we might be calling this for testing. So that was quite really sobering for me, because I was thinking, fuck, I'm 34. My dad was 45. You know, as you said, I want to be here. It's there. I have to be here to see Alex, my son, become a man. You know, but it got me thinking a lot life in a completely different way. And like, even like being away, I see a lot of people with their phones out recording everything. But I'm like, I never want to see videos back when I used to do it myself. So as you say, I just soak it in like a sponge now. The whole occasion, sitting with a smile on my face, like, this is amazing. And the amount of things I've ticked off my bucket list this last year has been unbelievable. And it's literally just down to kind of thinking, fuck, what have I done here in 10 years? At least if I'm looking back, we have a lot of good memories. That's a joke, by the way. But no, it is. It's just, it's a real, that's kind of really got me really thinking now. And I actually went back after, I done my ankle in January there. I went back to football and tried to play 45 minutes, tried to build it up. I was absolutely gassed, mate. You know, I was literally, but again, within 20 minutes of that, my ankle starts stiffening up. I just said, some of my joints are a real problem. Like today, for instance, I got that work done on Thursday. My ankle stiffs aboard today because he's working on it. He's told me it'll be like that. But I can't be doing this no more. I have to get these legs sorted and make sure that, again, that I'm not 45 and I'm a cripple and so on, and always injured, and neck problems here. So I'm going to get that all sorted now and make sure, as you said, that you're 42 and, you know, get that age and nice and active. So yeah, sure, that, mate, will you? So I do.
It's funny, actually, we were away whale watching. Well, it was a stag do from a wee brother, but he wanted to do something different rather than just going drinking in Newcastle or whatever. He says, let's go. And we went to Iceland, which is a dear, you had to bring a lot of money to Iceland. Like, yeah. But we did like the quad biking over the like volcanoes and all, and did all this sort of stuff. Brilliant. And the Blue Lagoon, it was funny. All the girls were in Liverpool at the strip clubs and everything, and all the boys were in the Blue Lagoon with like face packs on. And we went whale watching. I remember going whale watching and going, this will be one of these trips because I've done this sort of stuff before where they'll
Aye.
say, "Oh, sorry lads, not today." You know, obviously the weather and it's right, and team blown
That's 50 quid each.
And I was standing on this boat just watching, and there was a couple of guys in front of me, like with the big cameras. And you're talking like a 700mm lens thing, and they were looking.
Yeah.
And this whale come up the side of the boat, and I was just looking at it, going, "It's a big fuck off whale." And like other guys missed it because they were all too concerned with taking selfies over on the other side and all. It was just like, it's just
In present, that's called that. You're in the moment. You know what I mean?
I remember we stayed in the guy's house in Vietnam, or not Vietnam, in Hawaii, but he'd fought in the Vietnam War and he was in his 80s. And he was out in the morning, so we stayed in like an annex thing off his house. This is when we were on honeymoon. And then we were coming out, he was standing there and he called me over, he says, "Neil, come here, breathe this in."
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy's lost a plot here, because a bird flew past and he was like,
Yeah.
And he says, "Come on over and breathe this in." And I was standing there with him going, "Oh, he's right, you'll never smell air like it." And it's funny, we're just stupid small things. And especially in my game, the fitness game, everyone's about driving the Lamborghinis and look at me with my Starbucks on the way to whatever. And it's all this sort of, it's just that, whereas I love just the simplicity of it. And I would rather work the way I want to work and earn maybe a bit less, but have time to do what I want to do on my terms and stuff, because I'm very conscious of, hours are, it's the sand thing, the hourglass thing.
Hourglass.
The hourglass, it's just going here and you want to make it where it counts,
Brilliant. Hence why I'm brainwashing the little lad. At least when I leave, he'll have a Liverpool van there. He's got nice scarves this morning. I'm going, "You've got your own scarf." Doesn't want his own scarf yet, obviously. "I want your scarf." Like, "You got your own one. I'll show you yours." They had no interest, but we things they gotta stick by. I mean, my dad, again, I'm a Liverpool fan because of my dad, and I love it. So when I'm standing in the cab saying "You'll never walk alone," I think about my dad. So that'll always be with me. You know what I mean? So as mad as that might sound to people, that's one thing he's left me that I love. So my wee lad, again, the brainwashing started again. Alexander is literally a Liverpool fan. If he ever comes in and says anything different, he'd be shipped off, somewhere. Only joking again, just in case.
yeah.
I have to keep myself right here. No, but listen, I think that's fantastic, mate. I really appreciate your time. That's about an hour there. Again, as I said, thank you for coming on. I was very eager to get you on, so I appreciate that.
That was good. Really enjoyed it. And it's funny, I say you always with these, because I've done a couple of these sort of things. It's funny when you go off on tangents and you have a bit of crack, and it's hard to sort of like probably cover everything you want to cover and do it in the right way. But if we ever do it again, certainly, let's
mate, 100%. And do me a favor before you go, plug your socials, because as I said, I love your Amateur Dad page, but you've also got the Instagram I've seen last night now. So if you want to plug them, and let's
so I'll file them across to you if you want to file them in anywhere. On YouTube, it might be changed now to like McT coaching, because I haven't got a lot of YouTube, so it didn't give you your own thing. But look up Neil McT. Instagram is Neil McT. Everything's Neil McT. Generally like my Instagram and stuff. The Instagram I'm sort of getting into. The YouTube's quite good. For like client testimonials, and anyone wants to find out about the fitness type or my type of training type stuff. And then neilmct.com. Generally, if you're on neilmct.com, that'll bring you to all the socials and that, And then obviously the OnlyFans and all is all up there too. Just
plug that as well on the story. Can I get a 10% commission for that there?
Yeah.
And send me your invoice for this podcast, remember?
Top
man.
Brilliant.
Appreciate it.
All right, Marty. Cheers.
Take care, mate.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
If you like what you've seen, don't forget to subscribe to the page and also follow us on Instagram. Many thanks.